Hello everyone, this is Gitanji. Today we sit down with model Teresa Herrera. She'll tell us about her career as a model and her transition into another career. You can join the conversation using the hashtag #BeyondModeling. Hello Teresa and welcome to the Rappler Studios.
Thank you.
Teresa has been a dear friend of mine for a long time, so I'm very happy that you're here and we finally get to talk.
I know, this is very exciting. Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course. So let's get started.
Okay.
You've been modeling all over the world. Now, you're Filipino, full Filipino.
Full Filipino.
Okay, you grew up in Long Beach. And how old were you when you came back to the Philippines?
I was about 17 years old the first time I came back. Actually, I was born here. We lived in Quezon City. And then my family migrated to Long Beach, California when I was 7. And I just grew up there up until I was 17. And then we finally came back to visit when my mom decided to move here. So that was my first time back.
So you're really a balikbayan like me.
Yes.
Yes. I was asking her actually, you have beautiful green eyes and you're full Filipina. How is that possible?
You know, these recessive genes really come out when they want. You know, my great-grandparents on my mom's side, my great-grandfather is English on my mom's side. Therefore, you know, 5 generations later, it decides to pop up in our generation.
Yay. Okay, so tell me, how did you get into modeling?
By accident, like a lot of people. I met my agent and my mentor, Joey Espino, in a modeling competition, and he was like, why don't you travel and go to Asia, Singapore, Hong Kong, Malaysia.
So you did the whole
I did the whole
Asian
circuit.
Okay.
Yes, because it was a way for me to travel and it was a way for me to save up money for school.
Okay, so tell me about the experiences being all over Asia. How was it like modeling? I mean, when people see you, did they know you were Filipino?
No.
Because you don't look Filipino.
Exactly.
I mean, like your typical Filipina.
Exactly, but they knew I was Eurasian. They knew I had a little bit of Asian, and they knew I had a little bit of Caucasian or European. They could just never pinpoint which Asian country I'm from. They're always surprised when I say I'm Filipina, because I don't know, maybe because I don't speak with an accent also, because I grew up in the United States. So they're doubly surprised. But it was such a great experience, getting to travel, getting to see different countries under those circumstances, being able to work at such a young age and being able to save up money. And during my free time or off time, I would get to visit all these museums and meet so many interesting people. For me, that was such a good learning experience.
So out of all the ads that you've done, and you've done a lot, you've done magazine covers, ads, what can you say is your most memorable?
Wow, good question. A lot of them. I think my very first one.
Really? Well,
Yes.
which one was this one?
It was Shell. It was
Shell.
Formula Shell. Because that was the same audition where I met Joey Mead.
Okay.
And I met Christina Garcia. And that was my first time in Asia.
And these are iconic models, yes?
They're models. They're established. They are so beautiful, and I've gotten to know them throughout the years. So I could call them friends. But I remember meeting them for the first time, and I was like, oh my God, they're so beautiful. Like, how am I going to get this? Like, you know. But I don't know, we just, you know, worked, and then we also, all 3 of us got to travel also, so I would see them. And you also traveled. I know you went to Singapore.
Yes.
So, I mean, it was just nice seeing all our friends from the Philippines and different countries and being able to meet up and have dinner and, you know, all that. I liked it.
A lot of people know you for your modeling, but you're also an actress.
Yes.
Tell us about the time that you went to the Beverly Hills Playhouse.
Yes.
I know that you did that for a while.
Yes.
Tell us about that experience.
So after the 3 years of modeling in Asia, I decided I wanted to take performing to the next level. And just like most creatives or actors, you're hungry to learn something new. I moved back to Los Angeles and then put myself through school, but I needed to be able to work too during the day, have our days free for auditions and gigs and all that stuff. So for me, the best was doing night classes. So I went to the Beverly Hills Playhouse. I studied with Jeffrey Tambor, Milton Katselas, and that's where I met a lot of interesting people. But
this is a prestigious acting school, by the way, in Los Angeles. Not a lot of people are trained, you see, in the performing arts, and you're one of the few.
Well, I figured, you know, we're really lucky to be able to do what we do. And for me, I take it seriously. So whatever I get into, I want to know that I learned how to do the craft, the technique. That's always so important to me. Background, history, writers, scripts, so I can distinguish what's good material and from other material.
Yes.
And really for me, it's more than anything, it's an education to be able to identify what I gravitate towards. For me, that's important. If you're an actor, an actress, you're telling a story, and you need to be able to do that authentically. You know, and for me, learning and education is such a big part of being an actor.
Wow, well said.
No, but it's true.
No,
It's
it
like,
is.
I always think acting is such a communal art. It's like the only way you exercise that art is if you're doing it constantly.
Yes.
So if you're on a TV show or you're doing films back to back, but
Or
sometimes
plays or musicals, yes.
musicals. But sometimes when you're starting, you don't have that advantage yet. So you need to be in a class. You need to be training.
That's right.
While you're training, you're learning. You need to know all these playwrights to be able to identify themes, storylines, things like that. That's important.
Yes.
You did that as well in New York.
So, well, tell me about the audition process for you in Los Angeles. I know you booked a couple of things. You were also on The Mask, right?
Yes,
so, I mean,
yes.
how is it like? Because I understand how the audition process is like in Los Angeles. It's daunting. There's so
is.
many actors. Everyone's talented and beautiful. How was your experience like?
Daunting.
I
Just
feel
as
you.
daunting. You know how it is. You walk into a room, there's hundreds of people there. You get your 5 minutes. If you're lucky, you get your call back. If you're lucky, you go to network. And then if you book it, great. you
Yes,
know?
it's such a process. But I
It's
remember
such a
before I
process.
left,
Yes.
you were on a commercial in a, what was this? It was in a theater. I remember seeing her on national television in America. And I was like, that's Teresa Herrera. She's Filipina. You know, and I thought I told everybody I knew that. I know someone on national television in America. I mean, it's an exciting process.
It is, you know, we get lucky sometimes, and for commercials in the US, it's a numbers game. You really just have to go out there and audition.
So in 10 auditions, if you get called back for 3, great.
Great.
If you book
Yeah.
1 out of 10, that's amazing.
That's
right?
amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's really a numbers game, even more so when, of course, pilot season comes around. You're reading 200 scripts, you have to go on 5 or 6 auditions a day. I think that's the most stressful part, but it's also the most educational part of the whole experience, to be able to absorb that much material, to be able to translate it into your auditions, and then move on to the next. I think the hardest thing for me to learn was being able to go into a room, know I did my best, and be able to walk out and be like,
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
You know?
If they don't call me, it's fine.
Life goes on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So tell me, after you went to Los Angeles and you studied and you auditioned, you still kept coming back to the Philippines every now and again
Yes.
because you have family here and
Yes.
you have a very big career here as a model. What happened? What was the decision to finally relocate back to the Philippines?
I got engaged recently.
Yes! Congratulations!
Thank you. So that was, I've always been going back and forth for the last 15 years. And I think the final clincher was, you know, I got engaged.
You're
and-
going to be Mrs. Sean Anthony.
Yes, I am.
Ah, so tell me, how did you meet Sean?
I met him here in the Philippines, actually. I met him through mutual friends. And yeah, and the rest is history.
How is it like being with an athlete? How's
Great.
the schedule like?
We have similar schedules.
Because I know you were saying he's very busy, he's always training.
They follow a very strict schedule in terms of their training and nutrition, making sure they get enough rest, recovery, training again. You know, it's just, it's a very repetitive. But athletes, just like actors or other creative individuals, they really want to be the best at what they do. So he works really hard, and I admire him for the work he puts in, and it shows on the court when he's playing.
Aww.
So I'm really happy for him. I'm really, really happy for him because he's got a long career ahead of him. So
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
so about your evolution from modeling into acting, I know that you partnered up with your sister and you came up with Runway TV.
Yes.
Tell us about how this came about, the development process. to shooting in New York and all these amazing places.
Yes. So my family is also in fashion. In particular, my sister Tina, she's one of the producers of Philippine Fashion Week. And then my sister Rosario is an editor-in-chief of Status. So having said that, we've kind of grown up in the industry.
All of you are artists.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
And so there came a point, it was actually right before I started hosting Project Runway Philippines. It was right before we got that gig. We were thinking of what fashion content can we put together that really bridges the gap, but to also make sure that, hey, New York knows that Asia is a very relevant market and you have to start paying attention to it. And we started creating this idea if we wanted to do a show that's a fashion coverage show where we cover international fashion weeks, and our first season was New York, London, Milan, Paris, Berlin. That was our first season. But throughout the show, I'm wearing all Filipino designers. So when we interview, for example, Peter Som, he was like, oh my God, that's beautiful. What are you wearing? I could say, oh, this designer's from the Philippines. You know, and we wanted to create that dialogue between the international markets and the Philippine market, because we have so many talented people here that the world needs to really find
Pay
out.
attention, yes.
Hello, we're
Hello,
here, we've
yeah.
landed, you know.
So you're going into your third season yet,
Yes,
right?
yes.
How is it wearing the producing hat?
Ooh, you know how it is when
Yes.
you're wearing the producing hat. You're wearing about 20 hats.
Yes.
But luckily, I'm partnered with my sister, so she also handles a lot of the business side of things, and I handle a lot of the creative side of things. But you know, Fashion Week is an event. You have 1 week to capture all the footage you need, and can as many interviews as you can. So as a producer, you know that you have to line those up. So we're actually working
Non-stop for that whole week.
I get maybe 4 hours of sleep a night if I'm lucky. Between coverage, between setting up the interview, shooting the interview, onto the next show. And sometimes I miss a show because I'm stuck in the cab and, you know, that whole thing. But, you know, it's exciting. Yeah, exactly. This is why we do it. We love it. It's exciting. It's something we're passionate about. It's something we're interested in. And, you know, we'll take it as long as it lasts because this is something we like to do.
So tell me about the things that you're very passionate about. I know that recently, earlier this year, you were inviting a lot of your friends to Tubataha.
Yes.
So you love to dive.
I love to dive.
What is it about diving?
I love the serenity of it when you see these magnificent creatures underwater. You know, whale sharks, things like that. I think I started diving in 1996. And I've been hooked since. And I have to say, Philippines is one of the best diving destinations in the world.
Yes.
And it's in our backyard.
I know.
So we have to take advantage of it while we're here. So any chance I get, we try to go diving. And earlier this year, I was lucky enough to go to Tubataha again. So I really like that.
And I know you're very passionate about yoga, and you put together the Global Mala Project.
Yes.
Tell us about why did you bring this to the Philippines, and how was it like getting all these yoga advocates together to raise money?
It's awesome. It really is. But I got to tell you, I'm not an event producer. It was hard. It's such a learning experience. I remember the first time we put it together. This was our 6th year, just this past weekend. The first time we did it was in 2007. I had like 60 people attend, and I was like, yay! But I knew nothing about producing an event. I knew nothing about sponsors or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So my sisters really helped me out in putting it together. But year after year, the community is growing.
Yes.
There's more yoga studios. The family is growing. So actually, this event is a collaborative effort with everybody. What we do at Global Mala Project is we unite the local and global yoga community to form a mala around the earth. And mala is mala beads that people use for meditation. So the idea is, if you form a mala bead around the earth, we're using that one day and using yoga as a platform for peace and action, where we can bring consciousness and light through yoga. And it's a charity event where 100% of the proceeds go to charity.
And how did you come about to find Leader of Light? Because that was where you guys donated 100% of your revenue.
Well, Elac's been a dear friend for years also.
Elac Diaz of the...
Elac Diaz, the founder of Leader of Light. We've known him early 90s, I think we met. And then just seeing his development throughout the years. But Leader of Light, his My Shelter Foundation, we really like the development projects they're doing there, because our push for Global Mala is environmental awareness, environmental causes. And what he's doing with sustainable energy and lighting kits of using a liter bottle and a solar panel so that they can have light in their home for 24 hours, I think that's beautiful. And in these impoverished communities. And they're empowering women to be able to create these. So he's creating an ecosystem, and it'll affect economy. And we just like what they're doing over there.
Well, congratulations. I know there were over 600 people that came to the event quite recently this weekend. Okay, so now I know you're passionate about yoga. You're also very passionate about art.
Yes.
And you've made this evolution once again, reinventing yourself as an art consultant.
Yes.
So you've traded in your high heels for your hard hat,
yes,
as you said. So tell me, how did this evolution begin?
Well, I've just loved the arts ever since I was young. Whether it's performing or visual, I've always been that creative kid. Even though I was modeling, like I said, on my free time, I'd visit museums. I have friends that are artists, and I've just kind of kept the pulse in the art world. I was originally supposed to go to school in Parsons for painting and sculpture. Instead, I took the performing route, so I went to school for that. I'm very sensitive to aesthetics and things around me, and I love art, I love artists, and I love to be able to help them. So I figured, what's the best way I can combine these interests and push it forward? And you know, when you're given a great opportunity, you jump.
Yes.
You jump with it. And
so what does that entail, being an art consultant?
So what we did, so what my company does, we're Collective 88, and we're art consultants for hospitality projects, collectors, you know, anyone who wants to build a significant collection. So one of our first projects is Solaire near Mall of Asia in Entertainment City. And what we did was we created an entire art package that was developed exclusively for the hotel, meaning we worked with interior designers a year, 2 years in advance to create these art concepts to be placed in the hotel.
So everything you see that's a work of art,
yes,
I mean, you had something to do with.
Yes, we developed it along with the artists. So what we do is we try to find the right artists that are appropriate for the space, and then we let them run with it, you know. But what I love most is we get to help young Filipino artists to be able to put their work out there on such a mass platform, which is interesting.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to go to Twitter. You guys have been tweeting your questions with the hashtag Beyond Modeling.
Wow.
So we've got a question from PJ Coronel Reyes, and they asked, does she still model? The last time I saw her, she was doing a photo shoot for a magazine in the resort, which I managed in Boracay. When were you in Boracay last modeling?
Years ago.
Well, he definitely remembers.
Yeah, I haven't. Hi, PJ. Thanks for remembering.
So are you still modeling besides doing your art consultation?
You know, once in a while. It's not, I don't get to do it as often as I used to because I'm just so focused on building the art project, the art business, that once in a while, if I get, you know, it's an honor to be able to shoot with a magazine or do a shoot for a television. Yeah, I'll do it. If I have time, if I can do it and we can make it work with the schedule, sure, why not, right?
Okay. So from Ed Mariza, what's your secret in maintaining all your roles? Because you have a lot of roles, right? You're an art consultant, you know, you're into yoga, you're a diver, you're a model. How do you maintain yourself?
My yoga. I think for the art consultant, it's definitely teamwork. I'm not a sole person who's doing it. I have staff, we have a team. I'm more like the creative director, and then we put the art packages together. But in any business, in any project, you need a solid team in order to make it work. So for Global Mala, we had the whole Manila yoga teacher community helping us make that event successful. The yoga stuff, you make time for it. You know, you're busy if it's important to you, and health and wellness is important to me. So we make time for it in our day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so in parting, I just want to ask Teresa Herrera, if there are people watching right now and they want to break into the modeling or break into the art consultation or as a producer, what would your advice be for them?
Study the craft. Definitely study the craft. Learn all the players involved. Know history of artists, scripts, writers, any industry you want to be in. Really have a full knowledge and education of that field. And then pursue with passion. That's what I think.
Thank you so much. Let's thank Teresa Herrera for dropping by the Rappler studio. I want to give you a hug because you're a dear friend, but thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Gitanji. Thank you for watching.